I'm about to do something on the Trans Am that is probably going to raise a lot more questions than anything else. My Pontiac 400 N21 4-speed transmission. But there's a couple reasons why it's no longer home. So do you remember in the last video, we were fixing up the wiring loom. The fiberglass heat insulated loom did come in, and I got the section that was a problem child wrapped up. So this is the side that got too hot, melted, and ultimately had to be fixed and replaced. The loom is basically done. I just have this, I don't know, 1.5-foot section right here, replace all the colored zip ties with black, but this problem here led to that being there. Pontiacs run notoriously warm, and of course having headers on the engine makes that even worse. If you recall from when I was talking about the fuel line that comes up right here and it runs across the frame rail, it goes to here, then shoots down right through here, right along where this brake line is, and then comes up over here, goes out in the front, where it would ultimately come out to the fuel pump, which is on the driver's side. I feel like that's a spot where Pontiac kind of dropped the ball, because I've had the car on the lift, I've looked at it numerous times, and I've thought to myself, there's really no engineering reason as to why that fuel line is running down the passenger side and going out and over where it is going to be prone to heat exposure, even more so if the car has headers, of course. Not only does it expose the fuel line to more than necessary heat, it exposes the brake line, which runs in this factory location right here, to the potential of boiling the brake fluid. And if you don't know what that does, well, that can cause brake failure when you're, I don't know, doing any kind of spirited driving. How I at least have it in my head at the moment, the fuel line's gonna come out right there where it does originally, and probably run around here, maybe right in this channel right here, or right up under here. It'll still be protected, come across, go across the frame rail right here, come up to the A-arm, and then drop down somewhere around it here, maybe around the front, away from the header where it'll be to go to the fuel pump. The other issue is that I need to take care of this brake line. I'm going to have to redo this brake line section, but as you can see, it's very crudely bent, and I've sort of not cared too much about it because I wanted to do something else with this anyway in the future. And that was before I even realized that the heat was going to be as big of an issue, potentially, as it is. It's not going to be a trailer clean, it's going to be driven, it's going to be used, and because of that, I need to take care of the heating issue, and it's easier for me to do it with the car in its state right now. Let's go back a little bit. That melted wire got me thinking. I could probably just mitigate the heat issue and exposures, but the actual problem, the source of the problem, was still gonna be an issue, so I wanted to attack the problem at its source. The headers. These are Hedman shorty headers, and they are not ceramic coated or coated in any way. And I couldn't really afford to get a ceramic coated header at the time because it was like 4 times as expensive. With all the other things that I had done to the car, it just didn't make sense. Headers are the variable that I can actually control. And I don't have to spend thousands of dollars to do it, you know, to get these coated or to get coated headers. What I can do is buy fiberglass wrap for them, which I did. I spent about 2.5, 3 hours right after that last video that I did trying to wrap these to make them both look good and to be functional. And I got, I don't know, 6 or 7 different ideas to wrap them, and none of them were really up to the level that I wanted them to be, both in functionality and looking at them. You can see just how close this is. I can't get any of the wrap in between it. I can't get it in here. I can wrap this section down to here, these down to here, and this down to here, and that's essentially what I did on this one. It just doesn't look good. Anyway, long story short, in order to wrap this header, this is the driver's side header, where the wiring for the starter goes down, and that was the problem area, at least my biggest concern. It was easier for me to pull the engine out than to try to pull this out while it's in the car.
You serious?
And that's because of where things are on the driver's side. You have the steering shaft, the motor mount, the brake line, you have the Z-bar, which is right here, the A-arm. This all gets in the way, so we can't easily drop it out of the bottom. It's impossible to pull it out of the top. At that point, I have to undo this motor mount and this motor mount to even get the motor up enough to maybe finagle it out of the bottom. But at that point, I had to take the transmission loose to get it far enough. And you know how things go, rabbit hole. It was easier for me to simply pull the engine out. While it's out, I could go ahead and deal with the other things that I have to deal with much easier because I have all that access. I needed to clean this off. I needed to maybe recoat it. So while it looks like maybe I've taken a step backwards, in reality, I'm actually ahead for doing it this way. Because it has been sitting for almost a year now, I can get things tidied up, I can get the headers easily wrapped and easily put back on, and then drop everything right back in as one piece. So it just made a lot more sense to do it this way. You know, to pull the engine out of the car right now with transmission by myself, it takes about 20 minutes, and that's just so I can watch things and be careful and move and maneuver. The weather's disgusting, everything's wet, everything's dirty, everything's squishy, I'm squishy. Yeah, I need to get back to the gym. What was I saying? Oh yeah, and worst case scenario, I'm just gonna take some smaller projects into my other garage because it is heated over there, it's not in here. If you like this, you wanna keep up on the Trans Am because there is gonna be a lot more of the Trans Am here very soon. Like the video. Please let me know what you would do about the headers. Would you wrap them? Would you just buy something like Z-bar and coat it yourself? Scrap it all together, just say screw it and roll with it? You know, tell me what you think I should do in this case because I'm open to hearing what everybody has to say. I want to make this year the year that we get the Trans Am up and going. So if you want to follow along, please subscribe to the channel. You know, I love everybody that's been stopping by and checking out the stuff. It's wild that even a couple hundred people are doing that. I will see you all in the next video. All right. See you later.